Takiyapi. Hello, my relatives. Pida Uyayapi. We are all so very grateful, and we thank you for your interest in mentoring, in serving as a Wawokiya, a helper in our community. Today we are joined by Dr. Teresa Peterson, or rather, Tui Teresa.
Ha toja, akewachianke washte. It's good to see you again. I too want to thank those watching this and taking interest in being a Wawokiya. We all want someone to care about us, that we matter, to know that we are not alone, that we can lean on each other during difficult times, and also share the joy life has to offer. Research tells us that when we mentor effectively, it supports a sense of belonging, social and emotional well-being, health, and increased educational and economic factors. Those are a whole lot of benefits for the community. We only need to give our time and attention. And the great thing is that those that are mentored are in turn likely to mentor others as well. So together, we are creating this ripple effect within our community.
I hear you say mentor effectively. We're interested in learning more about what makes for a good mentor.
Yes, it is important to think about how we can all work towards effective and positive mentoring. One of the interesting research findings is that poor mentorship programs are actually more harmful to young people than having no mentor at all. And of course, none of us want to do harm. So let's talk a bit about some key do's and don'ts of mentoring that were described both in the research and recommendations from the community as well.
Great, sounds interesting.
First, it is important that each of us come from a sincere desire to be involved in order to be a mentor. We need to come from a place of caring about others and not for boasting oneself. Lead from empathy, not sympathy. So it's important to not come from a place of pity or feeling sorry for someone else, but instead from a place of understanding and compassion. We have challenges in our life at one time or another. If we come from a place of sympathy, that can sometimes come across as though we are superior instead of a place of common humility. Make a commitment to the relationship. So one of the interesting research findings is that the longer someone is in a mentoring relationship, the greater the positive outcomes. In fact, there are more positive outcomes than the relationship lasts at least 21 months long. Shorter periods of mentoring, while acceptable, does not provide the same level of results I mentioned earlier. There was a significant amount of research on cultural alignment and tapping cultural teachings to support cultural identities and increasing resiliency.
That sounds interesting. Say more about that.
The research was interesting because it validated our Dakota ways. For example, our intricate kinship system, our Tioshbaye, or extended family, provides the needed sense of belonging for young people. Well, actually everybody. Sense of belonging is tied to so many factors of health and well-being. Unfortunately, our mainstream society focuses on individuality. We are fortunate because our Native communities are still deeply engaged in extended family. As a community, we don't need to build anything new or different. We only need to tap in and strengthen our Dakota culture to further support mentoring and sense of belonging.
How do we do that?
One of the simplest yet most powerful ways is to tap our Tioshbaye networks by using our kinship terms and our relationship names.
Right, so I have Tui for aunt and Toza for niece. I remember Kushi for grandma, but what about uncle or nephew or cousin?
Uncle is Dekshi. For females, girl cousin is Ichepashi and boy cousin is Icheshi. Ugana for grandpa and Takoja for grandchild. And there's some differences for males. So if I were a man, one difference would be Hankashi for girl cousin and Tahashi for boy cousin. So we need to start using these. We can all learn them. They even sound more loving than if we use English words. You'll be surprised by the power of our language.
And our community has a couple of places where we can learn our language. So what else can we do to tap into our cultural ways for effective mentoring?
Okay, this too sounds really simple, and it is, but we probably are not paying attention to this. We need to be mindful to use positive, non-judgmental communication when we talk to each other, especially when we're mentoring young people. This communications piece is really important. The community felt that way too. Here's some things Chanchayapi members shared. One incident can ruin it for the future. People that care say things a certain way. And for every one negative, we need 7 positives.
For every one negative, we need 7 positives. That's interesting.
That's actually been identified in research. We are so inundated with negativity on a daily basis. Just think about the news and social media, a lot of negativity. Here's the science behind it. When we face rejection, fear, criticism, our bodies produce higher levels of cortisol. Cortisol is tied to the fight or flight syndrome, which is fine when we're in real imminent danger. However, too much fight or flight too often results in poor health and other negative effects. For example, have you ever tried to learn algebra or comprehend a paragraph you just read when you've been attacked either physically or mentally? Our bodies do not know the difference between real danger or perceived danger. They both produce high levels of cortisol. Conversely, positive comments and relationships produce a different chemical, oxytocin. It's our feel-good chemical we make naturally. It is the hormone that bonds mom and her new baby. We also produce oxytocin through hugs, petting a dog, sharing a meal, and giving gifts.
Really? So we can be a good mentor with positive comments and being kind. Those are all things that are doable. But why do we need more positive than negative? What's the catch with that ratio?
The ratio difference is that oxytocin breaks down more quickly in the body than cortisol does. And so the positive effects of oxytocin are less powerful and long-lasting than the negative effects of cortisol.
Wow, so that's true then. We really do need more positivity.
Yes, so the way that we communicate and to each other really does matter, which again brings me to our own Dakota ways. I always remember what one of our early Dakota scholars, Ella Deloria, wrote about us in terms of Dakota ways of being. Minimum friction, maximum goodwill.
That would line up with all of our traditional ways, like gift giving, visiting, eating together, and our thoughtful hospitality.
And this lines up with what one of the community members said. People that care say things a certain way. That is true even if it's difficult or a challenging issue. I think it's really important for each of us to slow down, be mindful, and be in relationship with each other. When we do this, we're more likely to say things a certain way, to care for each other. That is what I think Wawokiya means.
That's really beautiful. Okay, remind us what we should focus on to be an effective Wawokiya.
Sure, overall, when we think about what makes a good mentor, we can personally reflect on the people that have had a positive influence in our lives. According to the National Mentoring Partnership, positive qualities of mentors at any age include a sincere desire to be involved with the person, respect, active listening skills, empathy, ability to see solutions and opportunities, and flexibility. These are in alignment with our Dakota ways. Reclaim our relationship using our language. Use kinship terms. Start with Dakota values, including compassion and understanding, and lead from minimum friction, maximum goodwill. You can do this by slow down and take time, be present, be mindful of how we say things, stay positive, use Dakota traditions like visiting, sharing a meal, and giving a gift.
What final words would you like to share?
In closing, the research on mentoring affirmed the wisdom of the community. What we already know, that the beauty of our Dakota traditions and values has a built-in mentoring system. Another one of our scholars, Dr. Martin Brokenleg, reminds us that historically every individual had at least 300 relatives they could look to rely upon, to seek support from. That means we all have Wawokiya, and it means we are a Wawokiya to many people in everyday lives and family. Each of us to be an effective Wawokiya requires us to invest in the reintegration of community mentoring through our Teoshpayas. It is the strongest recommendation of all and will garner systemic, positive, and long-lasting results. It means to remember that each one of us has the power and ability to nurture one another through our kinship relationships, through our Dakota kinship terms, through our kindness and positivity. These small steps, by just one Wawokiya, multiplied by all the members of Chanshayapi, will have a powerful impact on the many people and the community as a whole.
Pidamayaye, thank you. We're grateful to you, our relative, Tui Teresa, for helping us strengthen our community through Wawokiya and mentoring. To learn more about the Wawokiya project, you can contact me.